Thank for the intro.
All right, he is here. This is my brother, Brad Brown. Well, what's your name?
Nigga already introduced me. My name is Brad, for the people that don't know.
Yeah, like I was telling y'all before, I've been knowing him long as I can remember, so.
Nigga. I got the heck.
We don't use profanity on this show.
I said, what the heck?
The N-word? Nah, they go play. But yeah, how have you been, sir?
I've been straight.
How's life been treating you?
Is this an over interview?
You see, you folks they don't like to cooperate.
I said I've been straight.
Nigga, explain straight. Some people might not, understand that lingo.
Yeah, I've been straight.
Alright, so today I'll jump off topic. Was kind of teetering between two things. Yeah, and it is on the fly. This is our first run. Congrats. Our first show. So congratulations. We're kind of on the fly trying to figure out as we go. So the question we landed on today is, I'm going to ask you.
Alright.
Where do you get your ideas of relationships from?
So that's the topic.
Yeah, we can go with that today.
Alright. You want me to answer the question? I don't know. I would definitely say like the first thing that just immediately comes to mind is mommy and daddy. Mm-hmm. Like, they were like the first thing that like I, as a younger person, seen as far as like my first experience of like seeing a relationship. Mm-hmm. So that's where like my idea of like a relationship comes from.
Do you think you got a healthy view of a relationship, a good view of a relationship from looking at them? Because I'm 1 year younger, two. I am 2 years younger than you, so you probably but I don't think I was old enough to actually just see them, remember it. But yeah. So yeah, do you think you got a good or a healthy view of relationships from them?
I would say I can say yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's kind of a mixed answer because I feel like although they showed me a lot of right, mm-hmm. I also seen a lot of wrong as far as like not necessarily like I don't know how to explain it.
Just talk.
I don't know how to explain it because like they taught me, like, I would say I learned some positive things from them as far as, like, what to contribute into a relationship. But I also learned from them, like, the negative stuff, too. Like, as far as, like, stuff that can be, like, detrimental, like, to a relationship. I seen it. I was able to see it through them.
Do you think, okay, you said, okay, I got two questions off of that. When you say you learn what to contribute to a relationship, what you mean by that?
Like, me just, like, physically, like, seeing, like, how mommy and daddy, like, physically, like, loved each other. Mm-hmm. And, like, mentally, like, loved each other. Like, you could just, like, tell, like, just from, like, being around that they loved each other a lot. Mm-hmm. And you pick up on that. So that's what I would say, like, I seen, like, just the positiveness of them being together.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you had an understanding of it then?
Of what, like being in a relationship?
Of like the things you took in. Do you think you had an understanding of it?
I would say no.
No.
Yeah, I would say I was probably like too young to like fully just understand everything that was going on, and it just wasn't until like older that I really like was able to like just really realize like stuff that I picked up when I was younger.
All right, so this a kind of question need an essay. Probably should have prepared for this one, but so what would you say your current idea of relationships are? Like, what is your current idea?
As far as what?
A relationship between a man and a woman. That's what we talking about. Like, what is your current idea of relationships? Like, what is the gist of it? Like, what is the heart of a relationship to you?
I would definitely say sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
That's a big thing that I've definitely learned while being in my current marriage. It takes a lot of sacrifice as far as like, that's a lot of stuff that I didn't like expect to
have to do,
experience like coming into it. But now that I'm in it, I realize that it takes a lot of sacrifice.
Okay. How did you get past those things that you did not expect? Like, how did you stand up to those things and kind of overcome them in a sense? Like, speak to it. What was some of those things? Like, how did you stand up to it?
I don't know. I guess I just really just like dived right in. Because I always been like a really family oriented type person. And that I've always known since I was like younger, like real young, that like I've always wanted to be married. Like,
and where you think you got that sense of wanting to be married?
I feel like the inspiration did come from Mama and Daddy.
Yeah. So,
I feel like they was like the only real example as far as growing up that we seen as far as like marriage goes. And for me, it just started off as like, I want to be able to love someone like they loved each other, but also love someone like better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I want to contribute like the stuff that they weren't able to contribute to make like their relationship last or whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, you got like, for me, like I don't really have a like I might have to just sit down and think about it, but I don't really have no memory of Mama and Daddy being married. But that's something we don't usually hear like men say, like, I know I always wanted to be married. That's something like that, like most women seek out and they trained up to do. Like, you got to find a husband, get a husband. Like most women will say, well, time's kind of changing now, but most women deep down really have that desire to, hey, I want a husband.
Yeah.
They want to be in a union with someone. So growing up, do you think having that idea of marriage or wanting to be married helped you in your actual relationships before you got married, or did it kind of hinder you, or like how did it shape your relationships? And like, did you have a what they call it, a thought stage, or what, or did that idea of wanting to be married kind of center you, or like how did it look throughout your life?
I definitely say like having the idea of just wanting to be married, it like switched up.
It switched. Expound.
It switched up because like I wouldn't say like, I don't know how to explain it, but like even like when I was like doing me or whatever, having a thought stage, or what you call it, I would say I still had like the idea in the back of my head of like, I want to be married. And I would say that just having that idea and just really wanting that kind of like deterred me from, it kind of pushed me away from like the thought stage that I was in, so to speak, if that makes sense. Because I was like, like it started off with like, I want to be married. Then I had a couple of relationships where I thought I would be married, and I was hurt It didn't turn out like it was supposed to, and after that, I became a thought. After that, I became a thought.
Y'all be careful out there. Y'all hear this? Be careful.
I'm being honest. Like hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. And that's
bro,
what I said.
So
Y'all
true.
be careful.
Hurt people, and and I didn't realize that until like after I had already did my deal of the hurting, like, and just like honing on the idea of like I want to be married. This is what I want. I would say like that always been in my head, because like I got to a point to where I was like, hey, bro, this is not me. This is not my character. Like I am not the person that. Yeah. So I would say just like having that idea of just wanting to be married kind of pushed me away from that thought stage, and I'm thankful for
kind of trying to get back to yourself too, because you said it wasn't your character. Yeah,
like the stuff I was doing was just not me, and in my head, like I always knew that. I'm like, bruh, why am I doing this? Like
it wasn't serving you.
Yeah. It was just I realized like it was just like a temporary fulfillment. I'd go outside, be fulfilled for like a short period of time, but it really wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah, it didn't feel you.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing, kind of what I watched the clip earlier. Okay, hang on to this question before I get into this.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you next. How did you get to the point of dealing with your hurt? So remember that, because I forget. Right. But okay, so I was watching this clip earlier today, Michael Todd video, Cuff to Comfort, and he was like how he was talking about relationships. Like he was eating the cookies. He was like, we just going to relationships doing this, and we just getting pieces of people, and we get comfortable with just having a piece of a relationship, just be comfortable in the bed with somebody and all this type of stuff, and we're not being fulfilled at all. And I feel like that's an important point that you brought up, because I feel like a lot of people, I would say even me, have done it, not in that type of way, but like even with friends, going from friend to friend to friend to friend. It don't have to be no having sex and all that type of stuff. It don't
gotta be a physical,
or it don't even have to be a person. Yeah. And so I feel like sometimes when the catalyst to those things are most times hurt, and we don't realize that it's really a cry for help. And we don't realize that, hey, we might say we hurting, but we don't realize that we are acting out of our hurt.
Yeah.
Do you think
we don't realize that that's the place of like this where all of this is coming from?
Yeah, we don't realize the source of it. We just know we need something. We got a hole somewhere that need to be filled, but we don't know what can fill that. We just out here. That's just like, I can use me for example, like smoking weed or any type of drugs. And drugs are not just drugs. Drugs can be scrolling on your phone all day. Drugs can be getting them likes on social media. Like a lot of things have become drugs to us that we don't even realize that we're using as a comfort or as something to fall back on to get these temporary highs. And we keep crashing down.
Yeah.
And I forgot where I was gonna go with that. But yeah, it's like we have to, and then it's a thing I feel like a lot of people do not like to do. We have to get alone sometimes. Did you go through, when dealing with your, like, the question, how did you get to the point of dealing with your hurt, and did it take a season of aloneness, or like how did you work through the hurt once you noticed it, like, hey, this is not my character? Did that part come up too, like, I'm really hurt and this is why I'm doing this?
Yeah, it came up. I would say like after the fact though, of just me like going out doing me and hurting people. I would say it came up like afterwards. And for me, I didn't really have like a stage of like where I had time to be alone, because I didn't have like the stage of like being alone, because I was just like, it wasn't like a long period of time like in between relationships for me.
So how did you so where did you work through the hurt at? Like how did you work through your hurt? Or like get an understanding, like how did you work through that? would you say?
I would say, like, to be honest, I just got to a place where I realized, like, what happened to me wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I had got to a place where I realized that it wasn't me. It wasn't on, like, me to, like, men, like, nigga, what I'm trying to say.
Oh, no.
I just got to a place where I was like, it wasn't my fault, because, like, I know, like, I'm not the reason that, like, that I'm hurt, so to speak, if that makes sense. I'm trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, you said you got to a point where you realized that, hey, I'm not the reason that I'm hurt.
Yeah. And I guess that was just like the be all end all for me. And for me, I also realized that now that I'm, like, in a different space, I realized that, just like you said, like, the places where I was at and the people that I was with, they weren't feeding me and nurturing me in the right way.
Yeah, because in a sense, this is what I firmly believe in. When I think of my idea of a relationship, is like the main thing I would say, and I'm talking about like a union, is like when two people literally, they don't just come together, but they literally fuse together, like they become inseparable.
Yeah.
And with your hurt, that's another thing a lot of men don't discuss, and I feel like,
yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 questions. You can go ahead. You finna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna speak on, like, the men with hurt part. A lot of times we feel weak. We feel like we can't talk about our hurt because it makes us vulnerable. And a lot of times men don't just, like, want to be vulnerable. I know for me, I got to a place where I'm so used to, like, being strong and holding the weight of, like, everything and everybody else, and making sure, like, everything and everybody else is okay. And I just got so used to that, like, mantra of, like, hey, suck it up, get over it.
You a man.
I'm a man. I can't be vulnerable. I can't talk about, like, stuff that be going on with me, even, like, mentally and emotionally. And I feel like it's kind of like a hindrance for most men because like, who do we go to? How do we express, like, it's just like we hold everything in, and yeah, it's just like we end up like just overworking ourselves and like thinking ourselves trying to be like super macho and stuff like that.
So you think as a man, this was another topic I wanted to talk on, a separate, but it just came up. But do you think that admitting that you're hurt, or like showing somebody that, hey, like when Jesus came back, he showed them his hands where the scars at, hey, this is where I've been hurted. Do you think that makes you feel, do you think that takes away from your manhood?
I would say it doesn't take away from your manhood, but as a man, you would think that it would. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like the perception is, and I feel like it also comes kind of like from childhood too. Like when a girl fall, you like, oh, come on, get up, let me see what's wrong.
Yeah.
But when the boys fall, get up, so you all right,
yeah.
Keep playing, go play, you all right, dust it off. And then it's like we get trained to hey, as a boy, as a man, this is what I'm supposed to do. I gotta get through it, because man, I think we got this right here. We think man equals tough.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna say, I need to use this. Let me stop acting like I got my memory bad, y'all. So if y'all see me typing on this thing, I'm trying to note what he said so I can remember what I gotta say. But
You were saying like,
what would you like? What kind of? How did that take a? Like you said before, like how did you get to your? Did you have a breaking point of where it's like, hey, I can't hold all this in anymore. I have to release. Yeah. And also, what type of? Obviously, it takes a toll on you, but what kind of toll did it take on you of just not being vulnerable and not being open and not just, hey, showing your wounds and being like, this is where I'm at right now?
Repeat the question.
Okay.
I'm trying to get everything you said.
Okay, so my second.
I'm trying to hit everything you said.
Okay, so what was your breaking point where you realized that, hey, I can't hold all this in no more. I have to show. I have to be vulnerable. And then I got to add another question on it. And then another thing is, what type, we know it takes a toll on you because a lot of the mental stress be way, I'll say it's worse than physical. Physical, you can heal, put some ice on, soak it, but that mental, it stays with you.
Yeah.
So what type of toll did it take on you?
I wanted to, before I answer your question, I wanted to touch on like the vision of being strong for men too, because like, for me, like, I never seen Daddy cry. Ever. And for me, like, that was like, this man is the strongest man that I know. If I want to be a fraction of the man he is and be a fraction of like as strong as he is, I can't show weakness. So I feel like for me, like, just seeing Dad be strong made me strong in a sense. Also Mama too, cause Mama is strong as ever, boy. And Mama is good at hiding her hurt.
We'll say that on camera. But that's another thing too. And then that's why I said when I said we get trained up we get trained up to think we're supposed to be invincible, supposed to be tough. And then that remind me of a lyric that Janae Echo had on her song. It's called Nobody. And this was like, I see my mama, she never needed nobody, said never seen her cry. It was some other effect of she had never seen her mama cry. Like how tough it must have been for her.
Yeah. And
so, yeah, we get this equation of man equals tough, man equals no crying, man equals nothing, man is all strength.
Yeah.
You know, so how did you get to the point of I need to speak to somebody or I need to open up and be vulnerable? And during that time, like, what kind of tolls was it taking on you?
All right, for me, honestly,
let me write it down.
For me, honestly, I'm gonna just be honest. For me, it happened for me like recently, to where I realized I don't always have to be as strong as like.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't even want to use that word. Like, you don't have to be as, I would say, kind of held up or self-sufficient. I wouldn't even use strong because even in those senses, when you going through stuff, you really weak and don't realize it.
Yeah, definitely are.
But I'm gonna let you answer the question.
Yeah, for me, like I would say it happened for me recently because I was like holding so much hurt in to the point where I just had to talk about it.
It was a breaking point.
Yeah, I had made it to the breaking point, and I realized the actions and the stuff that I was doing was affecting the people around me, people that I cared about, people that I killed for, for real. It was affecting and hurting them, and for me, I know that I'm not that type of person to just like
hurt. Once again, not your character.
Yeah, not my character to just be hurting people. Like, I know, like if I can't change for me, let me change for my kids, because I know it's gonna hurt them too. So that's the point where I got to. Like, I was just holding like so much in, as far as like daddy issues and stuff like that, even stuff from childhood that I just felt like I was holding in. And I'm gonna just be honest, like I was holding on to stuff, like, cause I was so mad, like about like mommy and daddy, daddy just not like teaching us about love and stuff. And I done had the conversation with you before about just like being mad about daddy.
But we never really got taught on either side, though.
Yeah. But I feel like as a man, it was daddy's job to teach me how to love and about love, because I only seen like a glimpse of it from him and mama, but it wasn't enough to like teach me everything I felt like he should have taught me about love. Yeah. So I was hanging on to that, and I was hanging on to just a lot more stuff that was causing me to act in a way that wasn't me. And I got to the breaking point to where I was like, I'm just tired of hurting people. And I just got to that breaking point, basically, to where I was like tired of hurting people. And if I wasn't gonna change for me, I can change for the people around me, because these are the people that really care for me. These are the people that's really going to bat for me about anything. And the type of man that it made me, the type of toes of like holding stuff in, made me change. It made me a liar. It made me.
That's smart.
It made me do stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. It made me hide stuff, be a manipulator.
And then that's what I was gonna say when you was talking. I just wrote. That was my last question I wrote down. So as you was talking, we realized that hurt changes you. And sometimes it's not like, and then you will go out and hurt more people, because once again, hurt people. Like, hurt literally has the power to pull you out of character. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like there's a lot of things wrong with our relationships and even our society in general, is we got so many hurt people that sometimes don't even recognize they hurt, or they may know a thing happened to them and like, hey, this happened to me, so I'm hurt about it. But they don't know how deep it actually went. And then as I was speaking, the hurt can literally, like you were saying, the hurt literally change your character. And I feel like people do that. They go through relationships after relationships after relationships, being hurt and carrying baggage from one relationship to the other, to this next person, to the next person, getting these temporary highs, not realizing that they not the same person no more. Not realizing that they don't have the same integrity or the same, because they literally hurt. Crying out, it's literally a cry for help, but a lot of people don't see it like that. They see, hey, you hurting me. I don't care. I'm hurt. I don't trying to hear about how you hurt. Yeah. You hurt me. What you talking about? You hurt too. Yeah. I'm the victim.
Yeah, now you trying to play victim too.
Yeah, and it ain't no grace or understanding there, because it's just two hurt people at this point. Yeah. And nobody sees it. Yeah. And then I feel like it's like, why does it have to take, like, you had the ability to see that, hey, I'm hurting people. Like, some people don't even see the fact that they hurting people, because they so hurt, they become the victim. Yeah. So everybody the victim, so nobody.
I was also able to see that what I was doing was not my character, not of my character.
That's because,
like, I'm in a place to like where, hey, I know what type of person I am. I know what type of person I'm supposed to be. And just like seeing that, it's easy for me to like realize like, hey, this ain't me. This ain't nowhere near what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, why am I allowing myself to like get temporary fulfillment from like this? And it's like, this ain't even my character.
Because just like they said, hurt, that's one of the toes of it. It takes you out of your character. It takes you out of it changes you, really. And then that's why we have what we call broken people. Like when we come, like your first relationship, of course we got to learn. But think back to your first relationship. How happy were you? How trusting were you? Just think about it. Nowadays, once you get through your first, second, third relationship, don't work. Now we got we built these big old tall walls. That's a change that has occurred because of your hurt.
Yeah. I would say for me, like personally though, like since I always had the idea of like I want to be married, like I would say like I've always been like extremely open to like
finish your sentence.
I've always been like extremely open to like inviting other people in. Because like I've always like
you had a goal.
Yeah. Even with like the thought stage, like I had like I would say like in my mind I already knew like these ain't the people I'm finna marry. So yeah, like for me, I've always been like a trusting person. It's not hard for me to trust like other people.
Same. Yeah, but I was just saying the result of that change. So, what would you say? How would you, since we speaking about how hurt and like men opening up to hurt, what would be your definition of strong now? Like you say, at first you got your idea of being a man, how tough you're supposed to be from daddy, and like you never seen him cry. So how has your definition of strong changed, and what does it mean to you now? How would you define it now? And now I got to do the double take.
30 questions a lot.
And do you think you are? Did you realize you were more stronger in being weak? I mean, I don't even want to say in being weak, but in being open and vulnerable. Did you find that took more strength, or do you think that is the way to actually become stronger? So those are my two questions.
All right, first, so my definition of stronger now would be like being able to be open and vulnerable. That's strong. Because it takes strength, to be honest. It definitely takes strength. Because sometimes you might not be always willing to open up or even know how to open up. So I would say that would be probably like the new definition of like strong for me, being able to be vulnerable, being able to be open, and I was gonna say weak, but it's not weak.
Yeah, it's not weak. And then go ahead.
It's a cultural thing.
That's all I'm just gonna say. But I said let me let him finish.
It's a cultural, being weak is like a cultural thing.
It's an image thing too.
Yeah. Culture wants you to think that being vulnerable and being open is a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's actually a sign of strength if you think about it. Because even being able to do that takes strength. Yeah,
and that's what I was saying. Like, did you find that it took more strength to even do that than to hold everything in?
I feel like the path of least resistance was me holding stuff in.
Go ahead.
The path of least resistance for me was just holding it in. Just going day by day, pretending like everything okay, faking it till I make it, so to speak. And
yeah, that's a good point that you made. It is the path of least resistance. Because if you go to somebody and be like, hey, this where I'm at. I'm this, I'm hurt, you know, that's the path that's gonna take some. Let me humble myself right now, because it's also pride mixed in there too. Because of the image you're trying to uphold, that's a prideful stance. That's an ego. Like, some people don't see. So for everybody is not prideful, but it is. Pridefulness is involved in it, like an egotistical stand that, hey, I'm this.
And it made me realize how selfish I was.
Oh yes, Lord. I ain't even see. Look, you helping me out. Go ahead.
It made me realize how selfish I was.
It is very selfish.
Like, bro, I'm holding this in, hurting people, still holding it in. How selfish am I to keep doing the same thing over and over to people? It's selfish of me.
Yes, it's selfish. And also to that point, like I was saying, a relationship is a fusion together. How do you want somebody else to come and be open to you? But you not being, you want to see somebody else naked, but you not taking your clothes off. But yeah, you want somebody else to be naked for you and vulnerable to you and tell you their secrets, but you gonna hold on to what you got.
Yeah.
And how can you have an honest relationship without being vulnerable?
No.
Can you have a whole relationship without being vulnerable?
It's impossible. It's impossible. Me and Tweety would have been there by now. Ain't even gonna cap it to you, cause it's been some moments to where, hey, we said we was done. Multiple moments. But for me, I feel like if I hadn't got to a place where I was okay and understanding of that, like, it's okay to be open and vulnerable,
and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. For me, like, you don't gotta be strong all the time.
Yeah. And I think it's something that just has,
and that's another thing I want to say.
Ahead.
It's another thing. I don't have to be strong all the time because she's able to be strong for me in my moments of like self-doubt and like just like
she can encourage you. And then that's another thing. How can you gain? Nobody can walk through this life alone without gaining encouragement from somebody else. But if you never show, like one of these videos, if you never show your hand, how can somebody show you? How can somebody come in and encourage you? They don't know where the wound is, so they can probably be trying to treat a symptom of your wound. Like you said you was hurt, but that mean you was going outside, and so somebody might try to treat your symptom and say stop messing with them girls, but you never opened up and said I'm really hurt. So what's actually hurting you? What's actually broken? Let's go to that spot. And like a lot of times if you're in relationships, that's how communication get messed up a lot of times, because instead of expressing where I'm actually am, it comes out in another way, and then we try to doctor this thing. We keep trying to fix this symptom of it when there's actually something even deep rooted in there that you're not sharing. So I can encourage you. So I can put the Neosporin on that spot. And then I think the relationship would never work that way, because as the woman and as the man, it's a fusion. But we fighting for each other. We growing for each other. We are nurturing each other. Like, but if you never show your wounds, how can you even be healed? And how can you even gain strength? Yeah. Actually gain strength.
That's good.
And so I think we had a good conversation. So I think I'm gonna end this off on. So what would be your advice? What advice would you give to men from the state that you're in right now when it comes to these things of being vulnerable and open, and actually, and how it actually contributes into being in a union, a relationship, and just being a man all around? It don't even have to be particular to relationships.
I will say, like, as a man, for real, you would be better because of it. Being able to open up and be vulnerable will make you a better man, because you just you are allowing yourself to take the weight off your shoulders and put it upon somebody else.
It ain't even, go ahead. I would say it ain't even just putting it on somebody else. It's like, hey, let me put it on the table in both of our view.
Yeah.
So you can probably see this and be like, I see. Now let me take this into prayer for you. Now you're not praying alone on your own. Yeah. But two or three agree, it is done. Okay, now I can see where you at. So let me treat you this. I realize I probably have been contributing to this hurt. I'm not contributing to the hurt, but contributing to your overall feelings by talking to you this certain way or doing it. So now let me kind of change a little bit of myself. I ain't saying like become a different person, but compromise.
Let me fix this.
Yeah, let me look at me.
This is affecting. Yeah. If what I'm doing is affecting you in that way, I can change that.
Yeah. It's like, you see how all this stuff come up just from you being vulnerable, being open, and then also it frees the woman too. Like you were saying, when you open, it kind of frees the woman because the woman also they're with y'all, but it's like men kind of hold everything in and they don't just share openly, probably as a woman would, but it actually frees us to be the women, I'm just saying nurturers, because you holding up us because you don't want to be vulnerable. We here to nurture you. We here. It say the man, the God is the head. Then the man is the head over his wife. But the wife, it said the wife shall serve her husband. But also, even though it said like that in a strict way, the wife is there to heal and to nurture and to pray and to, be the strength also. So it frees us up to do what's in our nature. And so when you're not being vulnerable and open, then I can't be the full woman that I'm supposed to be. Yeah. So
that was good right there. Those some nuggets.
So yeah.
In other words, with us not being open and being able to open up and be vulnerable, we are really a hindrance in our relationship to our spouse to be able to do the same. Because I feel like for me, like if I'm not opening up to Tweety, she might not like feel like the same urgency to open up like it should be. If I'm holding back, then why should she open up too?
Exactly. So yeah, has your definition of idea of relationship changed since we had talked?
I would say it was a good talk.
But yeah, that's the I don't know what I'm gonna name this overall, but hey, I actually do think I'm gonna name it The Release. And this is our first episode on The Release. So yeah, if you want to come sit down on the couch with me, ain't no telling what topic we're gonna talk about.
I can have my spot.
Yeah. We're gonna have these jump off topics, jump off questions, and today we got into some
on the fly conversation.
That's the concept. I shouldn't have put the whole concept like that. But yeah, that's what it is. And we got into some deep stuff. And we got a little deep today. So yeah,
go out, go heal one another.
Heal one another. Recognize your hurt. Get to a place in yourself where if you recognize
your hurt, it's gonna be a hindrance. Hurt and hindrance.
Hurt and hindrance. That's great. I only gotta add that to that.
You don't recognize your hurt, it's gonna be a hindrance.
And you got to a point where you can't recognize yourself, it's probably because of some hurt.
Yeah.
Then change your character. We did get what?
Go ahead, for
I was saying we did get deep today.
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely gonna be a hindrance when you in the same spot that you've been in for a minute.
Keep going from
moved.
Just because
the same men, different faces.
That's what I just want to say. Just because you go into a different relationship, don't mean you a different person. That don't mean you move because you move in them relationships.
You're in the same town doing the same thing.
Not the same
town. Same career. You said what?
I said not the same town.
Same town, ain't upgrading nothing. I don't know, somebody doorstep right there. And then my past life is I bet you don't step today.
I'm in your business.
Check that hurt.
Check your hurt. And I think that's a great point to end for women and men. Maybe I can have a woman on next and talk about it because it happens for men and women. But yeah, we're going to leave it right there. Check your hurt. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor and share if you found something out of this, or clip it, or however you want to share it. If you enjoyed it, comment, tell us some parts that maybe resonated with you. And yeah, we're out of here. Check your hurt.
That's the title, right?
All right.
The release / check your hurt.